Okay, so I've got the fog lines marked off on this side, and I'm going to go ahead and paint, so we'll be right back. Okay, so painted all the lines, and I made sure to mask off where all the driveways would be, or the entrances and exits to, going over the sidewalks and everything. But let's go ahead and tear this one off and see how it came out. So it looks like the lines are going to come out pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and cut away because this takes a long time, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so the fog lines are on there pretty good. I got the breaks where the pedestrian crossing and the entrances and exits to the gas station, as well as across the road to an area where a maintenance away shed is going to be. Next will be, I think next I'll put the square L here shape, and maybe one here, and maybe just a straight fat stripe right here, and then the yellow lines will be after that. And that's where all the time will take place. So we'll be right back. Okay, so the two L-shaped stop areas here and here are marked out and masked, and then the one straight fat white line there. I did take two vehicles and place them side by side, and two more vehicles over here to make sure that all four could fit in on the same road and have the same gaps in between and on each side. So go ahead and paint that, and then we'll rip this part off. Okay, so they're painted up, and now I'm going to go ahead and tear the paper off. I don't see any run marks. That one doesn't seem to be straight, which is going to bother me, but I'm just going to have to live with it. But my idea for the arrow is to take my big roll of masking tape, find out where my arrows are. I put them around here somewhere, so I'll cut away and look for them. Okay, so for the little arrow, I'm thinking about putting a piece of wide masking tape down on a flat surface, cutting the arrow out around the actual arrow piece with scissors as close to the white as I can get, or in fact on the white. Put the sticker on top of the masking tape, draw it with a pencil, then cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and then put the piece of tape with the arrow on it right there, and then mask all around it and spray paint. The arrow will be on the road. I have an arrow on this lane, goes that way, this lane goes that way, so I have two arrows. Okay, so I got the Tamiya masking tape yesterday, so I decided to go ahead and use it instead. I've got the curved black line for the center of the double yellows for the turning lane. Went ahead and painted that, and now I'm going to take one of the thin, probably the 2mm, and well, maybe the 1mm. Yeah, I'm going to do the 1mm. It's really thin, and I'm going to run a bead right in the middle of the black lines, and then paint yellow. So we'll be back. So I got the yellow tape laid down. There is a very thin line on each side of the yellow tape of black. Right there it almost touches, so it's going to be a little close. But for the rest of the line, that's a little fat right there on that side. The rest of the line should be okay. I might actually fix that fat line edge right there because it's too thick. So we'll be right back and see what I do with it. Okay, so what I really did was just run a piece of the 5mm flexible tape, Tamiya tape, around the corner on the spot where it was a little too fat. You can see very closely there that the white doesn't match up with the black, but that's okay because the bottom tape will keep the yellow from getting on the foam. So didn't fix the thin part. If I run my X-Acto knife on there, it's going to cut into the foam, and then the paint will definitely run underneath the tape. So I'll just have to live with it or fix it later. So next, shaking up yellow and painting on here. Be right back. Alright, so the second coat is down on there, and this one I'm a little leery about because this is the first time I've used the Tamiya tape in this really thin state to see if it would be alright for the lines. Well, that is about as that's about as good as I'm gonna ever get. There's a little messed up spot right there, but all in all I don't think that's too bad. Let's go ahead and rip off the rest of the paper once I get this tape off of my finger. Oh, that looks pretty good. Try to get this tape off here. Yeah, I've ran a little bit right in there, but it's not bad. I can fix that with an X-Acto knife later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a straight white line right in here to designate the turning lane from the straight line. I'll do the same under here later. I'm going to go ahead and paint these two. I'm not going to show those on camera because I just showed basically every other line. And when you come back, you'll see that all done. But I will show masking out the turning points, the arrows for the turning lanes. I'll show those, how I do those. And we're just about done painting. Okay, so I took the arrow, cut it out, traced it out on a piece of masking tape, and then cut it out with a very sharp X-Acto knife. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the middle of the lane where it belongs. Kind of hard to get where the middle of the lane is going to be, but I'm thinking it's going to be right about there. I'm going to lightly push it down. I don't want these edges to stick really well because I want to reuse this. So I'm just going to push this center area pretty good. Not too good because I want to be able to pull it up, and I also don't want the paint to run. But thankfully I can use the very thin, cheap white paint, so it shouldn't run underneath the arrow. So I'll go ahead and mask the rest of this area and then I'll paint it. Alright, the second arrow is down and painted. I'm going to go ahead and rip off most of the paper here on the concrete and we'll see how it turned out. Well, concrete and asphalt. I wasn't able to reuse the arrow pattern. There's the first arrow, because when I pulled up the tape from the first arrow, this one, it ripped a little bit in the corner of the arrow. So when you're pulling it up, you got to pull it up a little bit this way and then pull it up a little bit the other way, and then kind of move it around, finagle it until it very slowly comes off, or else you'll rip the arrow piece in the corner like I did on the previous one. Not that I'm going to reuse this. Alright, yeah, that came out pretty good. I'm not going to reuse that because the two arrows that I needed going that way and that way, which is the same arrow just turned around. I'll need another arrow going that way, and then that'll be the last arrow. As far as the railroad crossing goes, it's got the RR with the X. Yeah, that'd be extremely hard to tape off and spray paint, at least with the spray paint. It's actually not the paint's fault. It's the fact that you know, the little what I call a D, the capital D inside the R. You'd have to cut that out separate and place it inside there, and it'd have to be just right, just straight, and the R's would have to be straight with each other. The X wouldn't be too bad. What I would do is I'd paint the X on there first, just by simply doing the same thing. Take a extremely wide thing of masking tape and then cut it out, and then mask around the edges. But I'd have to do the X first, and then the R's I'd have to do separately later. That's going to be really hard to do, but I'm going to have to make up my mind if I'm going to put one of those in, like right here, before I put all the details on, because the tape and the paper will just ruin everything. So that's pretty much it for the painting. In the next video I will obviously show you if I decided to put the RRXing on there, and if I decided to actually paint it manually. I'm going to leave this paper on here in case I do decide to paint that, and I guess we'll leave the painting lines done for this particular project of the HO scale diorama. In the next video, I think I will start gluing down the parking lot and start putting on details, and let you see how it's looking. Hopefully pretty good. We'll see. So take care, and we'll see you next time.